Hi guys, so my name is Davita. I'm super excited to be doing my first video with you guys. So I really just wanted to start off with just really talking a little bit about what autism is. So before I got into the field and doing therapy with kids with autism, I honestly didn't really know anything about it. I hadn't heard much about it, which is something that I think is a bit of a problem and is really unfortunate. And so that's one of the reasons that I want to be able to start this page, is to just share more with others on what autism is, how can we help out those with autism. For those of us that have kids or family with autism, what are ways that we can help them? So I won't get off too much on a tangent there, but just for my first video, I want to talk about, again, a little bit what autism really is. So if you look at the technical definition, autism is considered a developmental disability. So essentially, they've done a lot of scans on the brain to really figure out what's going on, and nobody knows yet why autism happens. They can't really figure out what has caused it. What they do know, looking at the brain of somebody with autism, is, so you have your visual cortex in this area right here. It's one of the areas that's responsible for eye contact. In the brain of an individual with autism, that area is very, very inflamed. And there is a lot more going on there than in the brain of an individual who does not have autism. Some of the other things that they have found is that there's these cells called microglia. The short version, essentially, they're these cells that are activated in the brain, and that is not a good thing. And they actually go and they attack neurons, and sometimes this can lead to damaged neurons and neuronal death. And so the whole point I'm sharing this for is because there really truly is an effect going on in the brain. There's a reason that a lot of our kids, they just learn differently. There's a lot of things that are hard for them, and that's because there really is stuff in the brain working against them. With that said, that does not mean that they are not capable of learning. Just sometimes our individuals with autism might perceive the world a little bit differently, or they just learn differently. So kind of going back into what autism is. So some of the things that this affects, or some of the characteristics that you might see, is that there's a lot of difficulty for some of our individuals with the ability to imitate, which is a huge learning tool. Eye contact, again, is a struggle for many of them. The social skills might be something that could be really affected. Another one of the ones, just in general, communication. A lot of times you'll see individuals with autism who really, really struggle with the communication piece, which if you have difficulty communicating and getting your wants and needs met, I cannot imagine what it's like to be 5 years old and you're hungry and you don't know how to say that you're hungry. So it only makes sense that the problem behaviors start to happen. And it's not that same, tantrums that you see with the 2-year-olds. A lot of times it can get a lot more intense than what you experience with other kiddos. And so with all of that too, another thing that you might see is different responses to certain stimulations. So certain textures of foods they might find aversive. You see a lot of individuals that have difficulty with eating certain things. Even light or temperature or even pressure or the way that something feels, the way that it feels for them might be completely different than how it feels for us. And so you'll see also too, you'll see a lot of stereotypy behaviors. So sometimes you'll hear the random sounds or pacing back and forth or other random repetitive motor movements with our individuals. So one of the things I definitely will always recommend is ABA therapy. That is what I do, which is something that's really, really cool tool to help with those who have autism, especially for teaching them those skills like communication and bringing those problem behaviors down. So I won't really go into that one too much today. But another thing I will say is the spectrum is very, very wide. You will have some kids that only struggle with the social skills, but they can imitate, they talk beautifully, they play beautifully. Then you'll have a kid who's 10 years old and they don't communicate at all. And you'll have some kids that they have no sensitivity to the different textures of food and brushing teeth, but then you have another kid that has all kinds of different issues with the sensory, and maybe the light's too bright for them. And so every kid is so different. So every person that you meet might be completely different, which is kind of the fun. The fun in it is getting to see all the different personalities of everybody. But some of the things that I really want to use this page to really share, and there's the definitions and the textbooks that can tell you all about what autism is. But the thing that not everybody knows about autism is it is so much more than a label. So my son, my oldest, has dyslexia. And so reading for him used to be an intensive struggle. Doing those spelling words and stuff were not the funnest projects for us to work on. But his diagnosis does not define him. I would never go up to everybody and just say to everyone that he meets, he's dyslexic. That's just what he is. No, he's a kid just like everybody else who just has dyslexia. So he learns differently, specifically when it comes to those letters and numbers. Well, same thing for our individuals with autism. They're so much more than just this label that they've been given. Yes, they have autism, but they're still just like everybody else a person. These kids, whether they're kids or adults, they are people just like everybody else. They just learn differently, and they perceive and see the world differently. Things feel different for them. The activities they like to do might be a little bit different, but they have emotions just like everybody else. They have feelings, they have thoughts. They are so smart. Those of you that work with them will see that they are the world's best at memorizing. When you're trying to teach them things, they learn all of the things, and they're so smart and get ahead of you. It's really incredible to get to see all of their personalities and what tricksters they can be. But just because they have autism and maybe the way that they play and stuff looks a little bit different doesn't mean that we should treat them any differently. And so we should treat them with respect. And that's one of the things that I'd really love to be able to help people learn to do, is how to interact with them, how to play with somebody if they don't like to play with toys, and just how to keep them included. So I would just say, just as a way to end the video, I don't want it to go too long, just continue treating them with respect, be patient with them. If you ever see a parent who has a kid engaging in those high problem behaviors, if you can help them, then help them. That's great. If not, just support them and just say, hey, you're doing awesome. So otherwise, I'll end it here because it's already getting longer than I expected. But thank you guys for checking in, for watching this. Any questions you have, please post them below. I don't know the answer for everything, but I love to learn and I love to research. So if I don't know the answer, I'd love to try to find it out with you. So otherwise, until next time, I hope you have a great day. Tell somebody how awesome they are, and God bless. Thank you.